Welcome to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and today I'm joined by two smiling contributors in Kevin Graham and Russell Boyce. We're sitting here after a game at Rugby Park, having won convincingly and won 4-0. Now, Russell, you were talking about when was the last time we did that? When was the last time we turned over a team? Well, we've done it tonight. What was your thoughts overall?
It wasn't quite as flamboyant as one of the turnovers I was referring to. However, very encouraging from what we've seen this season. Thoroughly in control from the first half, and I actually thought the second half we commanded that as well. The result was in no doubt whatsoever, and it was nice to see a few extra goals for a change as well. On top of that, a clean sheet. Who would have thought it? However, what I would say on that, without being negative, we don't want to be too negative, but every time there was a cross going into the box, I was still very nervous. However, it was nice to see us, positive on the ball. And again, like I said, just looking a wee bit more confident than what we have.
Well, you mentioned there about the clean sheet, and it is a big positive. But what I take from that, and I don't think he looks that confident. You're under pressure. There was a couple of moments in the first half, but he is playing in front of behind a different defence every time he plays, Scott Bain. But what I'm going to take from it, a big positive for me, is Welsh. Welsh's performance, he was assured he's got to be a first pick. Kevin Graham, have we finally found a partnership that we can run with till the end of the season at centre defence?
You would hope so, eh? You would hope that there's no chopping and changing. Great to get the win tonight, eh? But it's kind of like getting to the urinal and finding you've already paid yourself right enough. It's a wee bit. It's a bit too late, but I'm going to enjoy the night because I've had quite a strange day today. So I think Lee Griffiths is on the same naughty step as me. So I'll gladly take that one. What about Bobby Bruni for Ajeti's goal, eh? Mm-hmm. And Ajeti done well to turn the guy, and it was a good finish. Again, it's just good to get the 4 goals. A bit of confidence. We moved the ball a bit better in the second half, but still don't think we get enough width. I agree with Russell. We gave away too many chances. We crossed balls into the box. Maybe a better team would have punished us, but they didn't. That ball was there on the line. Eddie was the offside, and it was a Stonewall penalty kick. So round you, Sky Sports.
Well, what I would say, obviously Andy Walker disagrees with you, Kevin, but what I would say in relation to the penalty is fair play. I don't think it was a penalty, but it was the softest of the 3. You could have looked at the previous 2 shouts by Eddie where he's he's been sandwiched on 2 occasions. So you get the rub of the green now and again. Let's be honest, we haven't had much of that this season. What about yourself, Russell? Young Welsh, he's done enough to keep that jersey over Duffy.
Mate, I think you just hit the nail on the head when you used the word assured. He exudes so much more confidence, I think, than the rest of the defence, which, when you look at it, seems really simple, but it actually makes such a difference. He seems completely in control. His head is in the game. I think it's really impressive for someone, obviously, he's a younger player, and like, as we've touched on in the past, thrown in sporadically in big matches, then pulled out the squad. Mm-hmm. Nothing seems to faze this boy, and I like the look of that. And it might be a blessing in disguise that perhaps we didn't get, an EPL loan signing for the remainder of the season. And perhaps now is the time that, whether it's through default and maybe not, the choice of the management team or whoever it is that makes these transfers, have debated that enough. But maybe we've actually found now an opportunity to give Welsh the platform that I think he deserves, because I feel more confident with him in the back four. I don't know. He just has this presence, if you know what I mean. I'm not saying it's overly, he's not like Tony Adams, you know what I mean? But I think he's got an assuredness, composure. That's what strikes me with him, and it's quite refreshing to see in a Celtic back four.
You mentioned Tony Adams. You're just taking me back to that time he claimed that he was in the running for the Celtic job and then it was denied. Remember that, Kevin? He put himself out there as being having been interviewed, and then it turns out there had been no interview. That was bizarre, was it not?
But any time somebody mentions Tony Adams, you just actually picture that video when he was in Spain, when he was doing the dance to I can't remember the team he was managing, and just the players looking at him as if to go, "What the hell are you going on about?" Mm-hmm. That was
I remember fairly recently Sky Sports dialed him in. I think they were maybe expecting a 3-minute soundbite, and about 3 hours later he was still on talking. It was an incredible interview. Tony Adams, I think he was trying to talk himself up for yet another job. Interestingly enough, I had a wee look at some of the kind of feedback and the criticism, fallout, whatever it might be, of the Mark Hughes interview earlier on, and it was fairly positive, I've got to say. But what I also found searching Mark Hughes' name is that West Bromwich Albion fans are talking about getting rid of Sam Allardyce already. I mean, they're in disarray about what's happening at their club, and Mark Hughes has been quoted as potentially being in the running for that job. So going back to what we were saying before, Russell, if there are any targets out there, you've got to get them in the door. But I mean, let's focus on the game. Ajeti's getting interviewed at the moment. First goal in 16 games. First goal since September. When I was looking at him, and when Edouard was coming off, I thought to myself, and let's give Neil Lennon credit for this, I thought, it's good that he's going to give Ajeti the full 90 minutes because he needs a bit of confidence. I don't think he was playing brilliantly up until that point. Then he gets his goal. It was an excellent finish. Going back to what you said, Kevin, remember the game against Hearts where we couldn't break them down? It was the first game after Brendan Rodgers left, and it was just a wee dink by Bruni over the top to get Edouard. It put me in mind of that. So let's talk about Scott Brown. Let's talk about Ajeti. He needed that goal for his confidence. Is he going to get a run of games, do you think, Kev, up alongside Eddie?
It feels like we're in transition now. It feels like we're in transition before. It doesn't matter what we say. It doesn't matter what happened tonight. If we could have lost tonight and Neil Lennon wasn't going to leave, so winning the night is not going to keep him in the job any longer, then he's going to be in. Whatever the club's decided, he's there until they say differently. So there's no point us moaning about it. And all we need to hope is the players actually give him a run of results. I don't think a run of results is going to change what's going to happen at the end of the season. And whether keeping him to the end of the season is going to be the right decision is only the annals of history will tell us that. Only when we're sitting here at this point next year will we be able to say, was it right or was it wrong? But we want to at least finish second. And I think the club are maybe banking on the fact that we've got decent players, and we should be able to turn in performances like we turned in tonight, even if the players are not fully engaged.
Well, this is my real feeling tonight was that, Kevin. How many times have we not seen us turning in a performance like that tonight? I'm just watching Ajeti's goal again. He took it so well, turning the big lad for Bournemouth. Good finish. But again, going back to Scott Brown, Russell, I felt that he was back in the mood tonight. He's obviously shaved that head of his to get him back into the zone. And I thought, it was a proper captain's performance this evening.
I think it's a shame that Neil Lennon's maybe not done the same, because I used to prefer Lennon. Remember, he used to wear gloves in May. Remember what I mean, with the shaved head, just like nuts in the dugout. I just think that gave him an edge. I liked it. Do you know what I mean? That comb over's doing nothing for him. But yeah, you're absolutely right. As well as Scott Brown's haircut, he actually threatened the through ball about 5 minutes before that. He played a nice one to John Joe Kenny. John Joe Shelby, I nearly said that. Geez, so things can only go for bad to us. But that through ball, I thought that's nice to see the forward thinking. And as I've said to you before, I do find very often the arguments with Scott Brown are lazy. He only passes sideways. His legs have gone. It's all you ever hear if he doesn't play well. Every other player that doesn't play well, there's a variety of reasons why. Scott Brown's are always his legs have gone, only passes sideways. I don't think it's fair. As I'm sure there is examples of games where he maybe has been more negative on the ball. But I think you're right. Tonight he did have a bit of impetus about him. But like I say, that might be. I think that might be a wee bit tainted with guilt, because he was banging it all the other week, and that's the least we should expect from a captain of a decade.
Well, after that game, Russell, Neil Lennon came out and spoke about a lack of discipline. When you're talking about your captain, it really is a rap on the knuckles, quite a public one as well. You've seen him going off at the end of the game, and Lenny made sure that he's gone over to give him some praise. So you'd hope that spats are behind us in that respect. We'll come back to the Lee Griffiths situation in just a moment or two. Now, Kevin, if that's Scott Brown back in as a first pick, where does it leave Smiler Soro, who was one of the kind of high points of these dark times over the last couple of months?
I don't think he's back in as a first pick. I think it was a sort of horses for courses tonight, and like he proved why he was picked tonight. He's the mentality of that team. He sort of dragged that team with him, especially scoring the first goal. But what we've says about Scott Brown and what we says about Scott Brown before the game and before these games doesn't change. We need to watch how we manage him. But he's still got, as we're in this transition period, he's still got a part to play. Whether that's coming in for games at tough away venues or coming off the bench if we need to see games out. I don't think it means much for Soro. I think Soro's proved that he's got something to offer as well, and I think we'll see both of them actually getting games between now and the end of the season. I don't think I would like to see both of them playing at the same time. I think that they might get in each other's way. But you saw tonight, Bruni at the base of the diamond, he did actually play quite a number of forward passes, and he has got that in his game. It just maybe just doesn't do enough. Maybe the diamond suited him tonight. Maybe the fact Kilmarnock sat off him suited him tonight as well. Kilmarnock didn't really press like St Mirren pressed at the weekend. So you've just got to have a look at the night, and you've got to say he had a decent game tonight, but the problems that we've got with Scott Brown are still there. But the night, hats off, it was a great performance by our captain.
I actually think it's quite interesting. I think it's quite interesting with Scott Brown with who is he partners. I often find that when he's with Callum McGregor, I don't know why. I don't know what Callum McGregor seems to be, I don't know, a diluted version of himself sometimes. And remember, there was always the accusation of Encham could not play alongside Scott Brown as well. I think you're absolutely right to say that tonight in a diamond where Brown was more exposed than ever in that sort of formation, and yet he was more positive than, like you say, perhaps you would normally associate him with. And he had I thought it was a good display tonight.
A couple of good points coming in from James Pearson. So he says via YouTube, if you are watching on YouTube, then please remember to subscribe. We're putting out as much content as we can on the channel every day, free of charge. Ajeti showed that little bit of Bal class. Remember, Kevin, when we spoke to Brian McLaren, he says that they used to be called Basil, but now they're Bal. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, but we'll go with Bal. With that goal this evening, it took a long time to come though. I still fancy Griffiths and Kilmarnock next season, with Ajeti being our third choice. And the reason I brought this up is there was a moment obviously when the substitution was made and Kilmarnock comes on. And we spoke during the season about how the Griffiths has gone from fourth choice to potentially first choice at one point. Now, as Kevin said, he's back on the naughty step. And I think that was more or less clarified by Neil Lennon, not only in his interview when he was speaking about being let down by certain players, but when that substitution came along, he wasn't putting Griffiths back on, Kevin. So, where are we with Lee Griffiths? Are we going to see much of him between now and the end of the season? Or is Neil Lennon going to use him as an example to others? This is what happens if you don't, follow the plan or maintain your discipline, fitness, etc.
I think it's a bit late trying to make an example of Lee Griffiths, if that's his plan. Of course, Griffiths will get back in. That's what happens. What's been happening this season is you saw Kamala coming on tonight. At the weekend, you might see Griffiths coming on. That's the way that Neil Lennon works. It's a bit late to be making examples of players now. I mean, let's no beat about the bush. And Neil Lennon is the lamest of the lamest duck managers in Scotland at the moment. So trying to make an example in the dressing room is probably not going to have much effect to the players. What he's just got to do with the players is just to make sure he can get relative performances out of them for now to the end of the season to ensure that we at least finish second. Why
does he feel the need to denigrate Lee Griffiths to have an excuse to bring the other two in? That's I always find that there has to be a negative or negativity surrounding Lee Griffiths for the other two to get in. He's clearly got no faith in them. That's what it boils down to. He doesn't. That Tom Rogic substitution at the weekend spoke so many volumes, it's unbelievable. And then the best bit is Lennon retorts, I gave Ajeti half an hour. He gave him half an hour. That's who he's talking. I give him, it's just bizarre. This is the guy we were told in the summer Lennon personally spoke to convince to join. And do you know the funny thing is with Ajeti? I feel he's a 6 out of 10 player. Is that guy who'll just score. Might play 6 out of 10, but he gets his chance, he'll take it. How often have you seen him playing a partnership up front this season? Rarely.
There always seems to be a bit of drama about Lee Griffiths, and the manager seems to bring that on as well. I think they're maybe too alike. I think there could be a personality clash there between them. A sort of Neil Lennon, Aidan McGeady type.
Which one do you want next season to be there?
Of the two, I would as well. But, I think that if someone comes in, I mean, Lee Griffiths now has played under all the managers during the 9 in a row. So he started off, he was signed by Lenny, played under Ronnie. Best form probably under Ronnie Dyler, 40-goal season. Didn't play as much under Brennan. And what's happened is it's manager after manager that seems to have an issue with him, other than Ronnie Dyler, incidentally. So I think if a new manager comes in, there might come that point where it's like, let's cut ties. Let's finally cut ties. And there might be an issue there, because if you looked at the previous season and you say, well, the guy wasn't fit at all, we're still in February and he's still not getting games, then a new manager coming in might not cut him the slack, might not say, well, it's Lee Griffiths and remember the 40-goal season. They might just say, it's time to cut our losses here.
Do you believe that he's that unfit? I honestly think it's a soundbite a lot of the time. I really do. I think Kev was touching on something really good. I think there is a clash between the two. I think it always comes back to his lack of fitness or whatever it is that's getting said, but it doesn't add up. It just does not add up. All season it's not added up. 2 months from the summer to get into the squad, as you rightly say, February now. When he's playing, I wonder what his goal to minutes ratio is like.
Actually, throughout his entire career, it's very impressive, Russell. But yeah, you're right. You're spot on. Now, I want to make a point here, because we had a debutant coming into the side tonight. I was pretty impressed with his debut. But what I think he gave us, Scuba Steve comes in to say that back four must see out the season for me. I think John Joe Kenny gave the back four a balance that we didn't have when Frimpong was in. And as much as I loved the qualities that Frimpong brought to the side, the jinking runs, particularly when he first broke into the side, he was virtually undroppable by Neil Lennon, but to the detriment to that balance. And I think John Joe Kenny gave that defence a balance that hasn't been there all season. What do you reckon, Kevin?
He did. He's got more defensive attributes than what Frimpong had, but then we says that about Frimpong. He was never a natural right back. This guy Kenny looks like a natural right back, a modern right back who can get up and down the park, but has got a wee eye on defensive duties. He likes a challenge. He positionally was fine. He was getting up and down the park. He was sometimes when he went and he wasn't going to get the ball, but then that's just going to come with games and training drills, if we do training drills, when we're trying to break down sides. He looks decent. He looks what you would expect to get for a Premier League team. Really, who played 31 times in Germany last season. So at 23, has got a bit of experience. He's got more experience than Stephen Welsh, who's a year younger than him. Will be a year younger than him. So it looks okay. It's only his first game. I remember lacked salt in his first game. So if that back four needs a bit of work regarding stopping cross balls coming in and dealing with the cross balls in the middle. But then that takes time and coaching and working with them. And what you've got to say is our Achilles heel has been dealing with cross balls and set plays all season, and that hasn't been coached out of them. So I think, yes, stick with this back four for the rest of the season, injuries permitting, but they will make mistakes and we will lose goals just because we haven't sorted it and we're now 6-7 months into the season.
How big a part, I know the goalkeeper can't prevent a cross from coming in, but how big a part of that has been the goalkeeper situation, Russell? I mean, we've had 3 goalies, all with games under their belt. They're playing behind different defences week in, week out. Scott Bain doesn't convince me. Last season he was the number 3, he's now our number 1. I don't think he's a Celtic number 1. I actually felt that we probably could have ran, because we've got a couple of right backs at the club. We probably could have ran with someone like Ayer at right back, or even El Hamid, whatever's happened to him. Yeah. But I would have liked to have seen a goalkeeper coming in. I'm not convinced with any of the 3, to be honest with you.
Like I've said on Twitter, I think a couple of weeks ago, I think Lennon generally does play pin the tail on the donkey when it comes to the goalkeeper situation. I don't think he generally has any faith in any of the three of them. I definitely don't think the defence have any faith in any of the three of them. And the more you think about Fraser Forster's departure, there was a slight inevitability with it because he'd done it once before. The one that really now looks like he got away was Craig Gordon. That looks like the open goal. The open goal we completely missed that wouldn't have been a overly expensive move. It was a guaranteed reliability at the back. Okay, he's not going to be, this is amazing, we've kept Craig Gordon. However, you only need to compare with the three different candidates that have all between them had, more games than what normally you would see three keepers have in the same first team in one season, and we're only in February. I think Craig Gordon, the difference would have been night and day, to be honest with you. That one looks a bit foolish.
I agree with that, and he's gone to Hearts and he's going for the same money that he was offered. It's the same deal. Now, this is all about perception, of course, but Russell, apparently you were comparing Welsh to Tony Adams, and I know you weren't. But you said he's not. You're not getting as carried away. It's not as though he's a Tony Adams style defender.
Oh man, that's amazing. That's amazing. No, definitely Tony Adams. Get the Welsh statue alongside Lawwell's. Unbelievable. The
big thing again, Stevie Murdoch's coming in from YouTube to say Ajeti looked knackered for the time he was on, took his goal well though. I think, again, he would be one of the guys who would have a fair claim to say that he needs a wee bit of game time to get the match fitness. One player I'm a wee bit more concerned about in relation to that though is Turnbull. He doesn't seem to finish many 90 minutes. Kevin, is that just a guy who has been out of the game for a long time and he's still trying to reach that peak fitness? Or would you expect after a couple of months in the first team for him to be able to quite easily finish 90 minutes? I would.
It could be a case of trying to gently get him back in to playing for Celtic, playing for the first team, and trying to get him to build up to these 90 minutes. I mean, there are sports science guys in that there, and they know better than us. It just seemed quite strange. I don't know if he played many 90 minutes for Motherwell before he actually came to us towards the end of last season. I don't think he would have. So I think it's just a case of building up fitness. As you says, Paul, there's a complete difference between fitness and match fitness. And because you turn different in a game, you make different runs in a game. So it could just be a case of Big John Hartson was a perfect example. He says getting up to match fitness is completely different from actually being fit. So I think you're seeing that with Ajeti, Kamala, Turnbull, and even Soro earlier on. They're going like that. It's fatigue. Well, if you haven't played for nearly 18 months and you play a run of games at match speed, then there is going to be an adjustment, and that's nothing to do with fitness. That's more to do with match fitness, and that could be the problem with Griffiths as well.
Mm-hmm. And what is the run of games though? What is the run of games? I mean, if you were Klamala, you'd be sitting there going, you start an Old Firm, and then you're back out. I mean, it's weeks he'll sit on the bench. He's not even first, second, third choice sub. What is this like? What is when the player's looking at his own career, what's the development plan here? Because to me, it seems all over the place. And that's only just one example. I think you're absolutely spot on. I mean, the match fitness side of things, you're in 1 minute, you're out the next for weeks on end. Then it's, I gave him half an hour. I gave Ajeti half an hour. Doesn't make sense. I don't understand how you can expect to watch these guys,
I think if you look at Ajeti and Kamala, they both like the ball played in quickly. And it's something that we do. It's something that we don't do. So I don't think you'll see the best of either they two players. Maybe more Ajeti because we've seen more of him. Until you get somebody that can whip a ball in quickly or play it in behind quickly for them to actually turn the last man, like Ajeti's goal tonight. We don't do that enough for him to impress solidly for the 90 minutes.
There's a few comments coming in about our strikers. IH's decorating comments. Welcome back to the show. Eduard, 10 goals in 17 league games, but gets slaughtered. We've also got Zinkovic coming in to say Ajeti was actually good tonight. And Jim Hanaway thinks that Griffiths still has it, But Philip DeMarco points out that the 40-goal season was 5 years ago. I mean, would that suggest that, finally, Supersonic Celt is saying that Klimala will never be a starter, no goals in him, punt? I think that, when you're looking at the Griffiths comment there, would that suggest that his best years are behind him? He's only 30.
I think you need to compare it with the minutes, the goals. I reckon this season his would be probably better than you think. As I appreciate the fact he's not had enough minutes to get anything like 40 goals, but I think if you were to look at, how much match time he's had against the goals that he has scored, perhaps not at such a rate, but it wouldn't be too far away either.
Now, Kevin, you got yourself into a bit of bother earlier on about Celtic players phoning you at home when you're a season ticket holder. I actually think it would be quite funny if you were the first guy they phoned after today. And if that was the case, you know what I mean, and capture it, actually capture you under that kind of pressure. If they were to do that, who would you like or most dislike to phone you? Because, I mean, I think, if Scott Brown was to phone you tomorrow, Kevin, you would crumble.
Oh, I would shite myself, pardon the French. I would. If Scott Brown or Lee Griffiths actually phoned me, I would probably shite myself after what I've said about them. It
would make great telly though, would it not?
It would be brilliant. I would need to zoom that and actually put it onto the thing. I think my days of being a political fan activist are over. I'm now retired for that game, and as the wee guy on the huddle board called me, I'm just going to stick to being that wee poet fella, and I think that's where I'm going to be from now on. But I would love to actually have a wee phone call with Eddie and see what kind of French rap music he likes, and see if he's ever watched La Haine.
Edouard.
I could have a wee conversation with him about just everything French. I would like that.
You're just really, really playing the poet's part now, Kev. I found it quite interesting as well that all season when we've been talking about the centre-half issue, that Kevin continually reiterated about the fact that Beaton should now be considered as a centre-half, Kevin. Where is he in the great scheme of things now? I know that obviously, he injured himself the other day. There was a red card incident. I'm not convinced he is a centre-half, and I think when he comes back, he's going to be way down the pecking order. What's your thoughts on that, Kev?
Beaton as a centre-half, he's played there for 3 seasons now. International in Celtic, he's played as centre-half. Everybody in this team will know that whoever the next manager is going to be will be watching videos of the performances from now to the end of the season. And if they feel that they've got any future at Celtic Park whatsoever, they've got to start turning up. And I'm including like Lee Griffiths, Turnbull, Soro, guys like that. So it's up to guys like Welsh, Turnbull, Soro, Mikey Johnson, Ajeti, when they get the opportunity to shine between now and the end of the season, for the next man to come in to make sure that they're about next year.
There's one for you guys. I thought you would appreciate that. Chad Chatterston, Noel Gallagher, John Squire and Bonehead on the panel tonight. Kev, you're getting it tight today. Look.
I didn't mind
you
getting
just assumed he was Bonehead.
I did.
I will. I didn't mind being Bonehead. I didn't mind being Ed Edmondson. I'm happy with it. I'm cool with it. I'm down with it.
One of the most important things for me, Russell, is we accepted a wee while ago, and it's bad to even think this, we accepted defeat really in the quest for 10 in a row, which is shocking. And I think back to when we won our league title under Wim Jansen, and it was won on the last day. I mean, it was neck and neck right to the last day. And one of the worst parts about this is that we're kind of going out with a whimper. I think the important thing, regardless of your thoughts on who should be in charge of Celtic, every time we come into a game, I would never ever want Celtic to draw or lose. Never ever want that in my life. So even though I think change is required in terms of Neil Lennon, where he is at Celtic at the moment, I want us to turn the corner in terms of the performances and results like tonight. That no, I'm not becoming complacent, but I would expect Celtic to be picking up 3 points tonight. I would be expecting more convincing results like this so that we can actually narrow that gap. We've seen a few signs that points will be dropped. I keep saying that. But I want Celtic to take the bull by the horns himself and finish strongly this season, so that, you know, the supporters like us on this show and various others who get involved, who have been unhappy all season, can at least see that we've been given a wee bit back in terms of this professional pride that Neil Lennon's talking about. I mean, do you think that we've got it in us? Do you believe that we've got a couple of the agitators out the door? Is that going to make any difference between now and the rest of the season?
Is it not quite tragic though, you know, when you do win a game, like, the honest truth from my point of view, you can't get that happiness that you should be getting. There's almost a relief feeling, which is good normally because you're under pressure, so you feel relief when you win. Whereas now it's relief that you're not being embarrassed. And I find that difficult to take. Like I said on the pod last week, we are going to finish second. I think everyone knows that. And I know there is the threat, we've discussed all that. But the fact is, Celtic will do enough to finish second, right? Where's the mojo? What's the purpose of us being excited to watch Celtic play right now? Obviously, the out of Europe thing comes into the fore when we're only just beginning in February.
Sorry, you're trying to be serious there, Russell. And Eno Mine 32 has come in to shatter everybody on the show by saying Gash Nesbitt, Owen Wilson and Harry Hill. Listen, now and again, there's not been much laughs on the show this year, so now and again we're going to have to take that, and fair play. I mean, you're right.
As a belter.
It is. But sorry to interrupt. You were actually being very serious and you were creating and crafting a very good point there, Russell.
I can't. No. I know what you're saying. I mean, the fact of the matter is, obviously, when we win, we want to be feeling more positive than what we are. The genuine, I think, public consensus is it's relief tonight, you know, but not the relief that you loved when it was one of my favourite seasons. Remember 07-08, Mind the Gap season? Always remember that. And it was just relief. The relief you felt when we got the second Old Firm in the space of, I don't know what it was, 4 weeks or something. It was like this overwhelming feeling of relief. Not because it was a guarantee we were going to win the league, but it was just, we're doing everything we possibly can right now. Mm-hmm. Whereas the fact of the matter is, all we're doing is, it's 3 points on the board. It's like, you know, it's another 3 points on the board. Second's looking more secure now. Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know. It's a huge drop. But I think even tonight, you know, when I was watching the game and the discussion was, when it panned over to look at Peter Lawwell in his stand, that this club is moving into a period of huge change, and you think after 9 years of absolute domination, it's incredible that we're all of that view. We're going to have to go in and there's going to be massive changes. The whole structure is going to get torn up. We're going to look at recruitment, director of football, youth development, the whole thing's getting changed. And you know what? I think there would have been a lot of changes in any case, but it would have been a lot easier with the success behind you. And we're not going to have that this season. So I've actually enjoyed it tonight, even the slagging that we've all been getting, which is welcome on nights like tonight. Give us a wee laugh. And we can't always focus on Kevin Graham. So thanks for that.
Look, there's something that I've actually found out over the last couple of months, right? We've got some of these absolute tinfoil hat folk who are absolutely mental. But the Celtic fans have actually got good patter and good banter when we're rubbish. We're actually very good at laughing at ourselves. And people are calling this our banter year. Well, tell you one thing, the Celtic fans are far better at their own banter year in the last 10 years. So we're better at it. We're just better at everything.
Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure once again. Thanks everybody for getting involved. If you haven't already had the opportunity, some more post-match content for you is on the YouTube page. It's the Mark Hughes and Mark Bowen interview. Very interesting to get their take, their football philosophy, what their kind of views are going forward. Where would they work in the future? Tune in and they'll tell all in the interview with A Celtic State of Mind. It was fascinating. I thought the pair of them were brilliant, to be honest. And Rafa Benitez next, and then we'll try and go for Eddie Howe after that. And we'll just work our way through the list. But all that's left for me to say is thank you, Russell Boyce and Kevin Graham, for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.